Great. We've got lots and lots of, in fact, we've got just over 200 people joining us today for this Bring the Drama webinar. I'm going to start now, and then obviously people can start joining in or joining into the onto the meeting room as we come in. So my name is Sophie. I am the Creative Associate here at Chichester Festival Theatre, and we're sat here in the Minerva Theatre today for this webinar focusing on backstage careers and opportunities. And this webinar is part of the Bring the Drama Festival, which is shining a spotlight on behind the scenes careers. So thank you everybody for joining us here today. Throughout the next hour, what we're going to be doing is talking to a variety of people that are sat around me at the moment, and they're going to give you their valuable insights into careers here, but also into careers more generally around backstage careers and apprenticeship. And then we're going to be asking questions that have been sent in beforehand from people who are listening and watching today. So panel, I'm going to pass it over to you. Sally, could you introduce yourself, say a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then pass it on to the next person, please?
Of course, very happy to. I'm Sally Garner-Gibbons. Here at the Festival Theatre, my role is the Apprenticeship Coordinator, which means I look after all of the apprentices and trainees who study and work here at the Festival Theatre. But I also look after a programme of apprentices that are based all around the country as part of a regional theatre apprenticeship programme that we're supporting half of the Macintosh Foundation. And I also look after the Technical Youth Theatre. So I started in my role in education here at the theatre, teaching the Technical Youth Theatre, which is, as you would expect, a group for young people to come and learn about backstage careers rather than the Performing Youth Theatre, which is what the large proportion of the youth theatre students come to. But my background in theatre is I am a stage and company stage manager. I worked my way up through all the technical areas into stage management. I didn't do any formal training, so the idea of apprenticeships and traineeships is very dear to my heart, and it's got to where I am now, which is very exciting.
Thank you very much, Sally. Sam, over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam. I'm Technical Director here at the Festival Theatre. I've been here 27 years, starting out as a lighting technician, and have worked my way through that, as well as being a theatre lighting designer as well. And now I basically manage all of the technical departments. So that's the lighting, sound and stage departments, also the costume, wigs, hair and makeup, transport, our production stores, and our facilities department are the people who keep the building running. So I oversee basically everything that goes into what happens on our stages. Unlike Sally, I did do formal training. I went to school and trained as a stage manager before starting a career as a sound technician and then moving into lighting roughly around the time So that's sort of me and my background.
Thank you, sir. It's really interesting to hear you go through all of those different departments. And I think what we're going to do is touch on a lot of those roles as we go through, because even saying them out loud, there's things that you're like, wow, I didn't realise theatres had those departments. And what does that mean? And how can I get involved with that? So thank you. Henry, could you tell us a little bit about who you are, please?
Hi, everyone. I'm Henry. I'm a member of, or an ex-member of Sally's Technical Youth Theatre here at Chichester. And I'm currently studying, finishing my second year of my extended diploma in stage management at Northbrook Theatre, which is part of the Chichester College Group. I've just finished youth theatre and I'm just finishing my college course. And then moving forwards, I've got a job as the stage management dep this summer here on Oliver. And yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Henry. And again, it's really interesting hearing the different routes in, which we're going to pick apart a little later on as well, because there's lots of different ways you can connect with CFT. Angela, last but not least.
Hello. So yeah, I'm Angela Buckley and I'm the event and project coordinator here. There's two of us. I work part-time. I started by also going to Northbrook, doing a BTEC National Diploma in Performing Arts Production, I think it was called then. It's probably changed now. And then I went on to do a BA Honours degree at Guildhall School of Music and Drama, and I did stage management and technical theatre. I worked for a lighting company for lots of years doing cables and crew work, and then I started ASMing, worked up to DSM, a little bit of company management, took a bit of a break to have my children, and now I found myself at CFT change path a little bit, but still coordinating a lot of the events here, which is really exciting.
And there's lots of acronyms that are flown around when people are talking about roles at CFT. So CFT is Chichester Festival Theatre.
Yeah.
ASM is Assistant
Stage Manager.
And DSM is?
Deputy Stage Manager.
Thank you very much. So yes, when we talk about these roles, we can open up a little bit more about what they are. And again, different roles and routes through and different ways people have got into the industry. So one of those roles and routes through is potentially having an apprenticeship. And I wonder, Sally, I know you've got a presentation.
I do.
Which is fantastic. And we can send this presentation out to everybody who's joining us today as well, that we're going to share with you. And Sally's going to talk you through some of the apprenticeship roles here and how you can get involved, because we've had questions come in about those already.
Loads. We've got brilliant James on the sidelines about to load up the presentation. Spot the teacher in the room. I'm the only one that's done a presentation. Yes, it's working. Yeah, beautiful.
Yay.
Great.
We'll just pop that into presentation mode. Grand.
He's still got his fingers crossed.
Nearly there. There we go. We got it.
You can tell this is live.
Trying.
Live theatre.
Great. Yeah. So Sophie asked me to talk about. I went too far.
Double clicked.
About the apprenticeship and trainee routes here at the Festival Theatre, but I feel like it's really important to tell you a little bit more about what Backstage roles are. There might be some people in the webinar today who are here because you didn't even know you could have a career backstage, and you thought that actually maybe it just takes 2 or 3 people to do the sweeping and turn on the lights. And in fact, all of us here have made our careers out of working backstage in some way or another, including you, Sophie. So I felt it would be really important for me to just give some context to the roles that happen backstage, for you to have an idea of where you can go, and then I'll move on to apprenticeships after that. Oh yeah, that's just another slide with some pretty pictures. Excellent. Right. So I thought I'd start with the most obvious, which are the ones that the roles that people are most familiar with, which is lighting and sound. And that's where most people, when they join the Technical Youth Theatre, or they might be interested in doing it in their school drama club, might start their skills. I know, Sam, you began doing that, didn't you? You were in your school drama club. Henry, you did the same, didn't you? And that's where lighting and sound comes in. And it's mostly because drama productions in schools require a bit of lighting and a bit of music to be played. And it's a great place to start. But there are loads and loads and loads of different roles in both of those fields. So in lighting, you won't just be a technician who looks after rigging the lanterns and programming the lighting desks and, keeping the lights kind of running throughout the show and operating the show while it's on. You can also become a lighting designer, which is a very creative role. That's the person who decides what the lights are going to do, what color they're going to be, how long they're going to be on for. You add in special effects like smoke and flashes and fireworks, which is a really exciting part of a journey progression for a lighting. You can also be a programmer in lighting, which is a really kind of experienced lighting technician. Learns the technical programs of the lighting desks that we use, and actually you can move around from theatre to theatre to become a programmer in many different ways. So you might be able to program something like Michael Jackson in the West End, and then you could come and program Oliver here at the Festival Theatre and keep yourself busy that way. But there's lots of opportunities in lighting. In sound, it's pretty similar. So you can be a sound technician where you're working with all of the sound equipment, setting them all up for the show, taking them down, making sure they're maintained and they're used properly. Again, you can be a sound designer. Now, this is a role that people don't know exists often, but a sound designer is somebody who decides on all of those beautiful kind of ambient noises that you might hear in the background during a show, or the actual sound effects that you might hear. So dogs barking, doors slamming, lightning. No, lightning doesn't make a noise. Thunder makes the noise. I always get that wrong. And the designer will do that. They also design where the speakers are placed in the building. They'll design in the way that the band is mixed and how that music sounds. So often musicians tend to go in the way of sound design and really enjoy that career path. And a sound designer has a massive impact actually on how a show sounds and feels and the story that you tell. And then when you're operating sound, you have the similar thing. You have a sound desk that you will program, and you'll mix all the music that comes into it, or all the microphones and all of those elements that are coming into the desk. And then you might have somebody else, another technician who's working backstage that we call the sound number 2, who looks after radio mics that the actors are wearing and the other equipment on stage. The other two departments that work very closely with the stage and the kind of technical aspects are our stage department. So you can be a stage crew member, which is somebody who's just beginning their career in theatre. Often we will take people on stage crew here who have very little experience in theatre, but are very interested in having a career in theatre. And your job is to put the shows in, to build the sets when they're on stage, and to take them out of the theatre again. At the end, we have stage technicians, are people who are a little bit more experienced, people who have a lot of understanding of all the technical aspects that go around putting on a stage, looking at flying and automation. And the automation is when things move on the stage, they look like magic. It's not magic, it's all computer controlled. But automation and the stage crew look after doing that information, doing those jobs. And then video. So video is a new kind of, maybe in the last 5 to 10 years, video has become a massive part of our industry. And in fact, we use projection in so many more ways than you would ever have imagined before. And it's a huge growing area. So you can be a video technician, you can be a video designer, and you can be a video programmer as well, somebody who puts all the video into the system. So those are our technical roles, and those are pretty much what we have here at the theatre. We don't have a full-time video department because we're just moving into the realms of having video, but we certainly have full-time lighting, sound and stage. Next. Oh, I can't make it click. James, can you make it click?
As I said, live theatre, everyone.
You got it? Try one more time. Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. So now we're going to move into the realms of more backstage roles, but these roles tend to be a little bit more associated with the shows specifically. What I mean by that is often the lighting technicians and the sound technicians will be involved with anything that comes into the building. So it might be one of our big productions, it might be one of our outdoor events, it might be a small festival that we're doing. These departments tend to be very much associated with the productions that are put on in a theatre. So first of all, stage management, which is where Angela and I cut our teeth. And you can work your way up in the roles in stage management. Often a stage crew person might want to move into stage management. So that's a nice little journey for them to become an assistant stage manager. But at the moment, stage management is something that people tend to go to drama school and university to study. And you'd start as an assistant stage manager, you work your way up to being a deputy stage manager, who's the person who does all the queuing and tells everybody when to make the lights and sound change, which is very exciting. And then you become manager of those teams. So you become the stage manager or the company stage manager. Above all of that is the production manager, and they're a very important role, not usually based within a theatre. They usually are a freelance person who moves between productions, but somebody who looks after bringing all those teams together and making sure everybody's doing what they need to do to get the show into the theatre. Then we have our costume department. And again, as you may or may not realise, but there are so many different roles in the costume team. You have technicians, you have dressers who work on the show to literally put the performers into their costumes. You have costume designers, which is, as you would imagine, the people who decide what the actors are going to look like. And you have costume makers. So if you work in textiles or fashion, costume making is a brilliant way for you to use your skills and work in theatre. We have a full-time prop, well, we have a seasonal props department here at the theatre, and we have a brilliant prop maker who looks after all of our making, and then we bring in some freelancers who come with us. And we have props designers. Usually the set designer is the person who designs the props, but they work very closely with our props team to make sure that everything that we have on stage kind of looks the way it's needed to be designed. And then we have a supervisor, somebody who makes sure that all of those props are right according to the period and according to what the designer and the director wants in the show. And then finally, you have wigs, hair and makeup. Not very many theatres have full-time wigs, hair and makeup departments. We have one when we're busy in our busy season. And again, you can be a wigs, hair and makeup technician or a designer. Again, usually the costume designer is the same person who designs the wigs. Or you can have wig makers. Again, a very skilled job to have. I'm going to speed up, Sophie, I promise.
No, it's all right, but I'm glad you're hearing it.
Yeah, I'm hearing. I can hear you fidgeting. It's fine. I'm getting there. So then finally, there are other backstage roles that you might not be aware of. So those ones that I've just talked about are what you would consider are in the technical departments. And those are the ones where you might imagine you might have an apprenticeship more easily or a traineeship. But actually, there are other ways in which you can work in a theatre and still be involved with what we do, but not necessarily directly with the productions. So first of all is our learning and education department. Most theatres have them. Sometimes they might be called the LEAP department or an outreach department or the community department or the learning or the education department. And they're usually where the theatre's youth theatre is based. They do a lot of community outreach activity and they offer a lot of the training that goes on within the theatre. We have an apprenticeship in LEAP, in community outreach, which is really exciting, and I'll talk about that in a second. Then you have the production department. So production is, when I talk about this, I talk about producers and production administration. So everybody who's looking after the hiring and firing, basically, of everybody that we do, making sure that we have the best performers, we have the best designers, you have the right people on stage, that you're paying them what they're supposed to be paid, and that they get things that their contracts require. So it's a big old role, Backstage. And then we have numerous very busy administration departments here at the Festival Theatre, but most theatres do. We have a finance team, HR team, marketing, development, like you would imagine in any large business. And then we have our buildings team. So Sam talked a little bit earlier about, he looks after the facilities team. So I call them estates and maintenance, but essentially it's the same thing. And the front of house team as well. So those are all the ushers, house people that you might see when you come to visit the theatre. Oh, and box office, yes, of course. We have to sell the tickets. Yeah, I should have added that in. Yeah, box office, of course, as well. So we offer two types of training opportunities here at the Festival Theatre. One is an apprenticeship and the other is a traineeship. The difference between the two is an apprenticeship is a work placement that ends with a recognised formal qualification. So this includes time learning in the local college. At the moment, we partner with the Chichester College Group. And you spend a proportion of your time doing part of that training. It's usually about a day or half a day a week. And the rest of the time you're employed as an employee in your workplace. At the end of that, it ends with an assessment to get your qualification. A traineeship is similar. It's a placement in an area, but there isn't a qualification. That might be because a qualification doesn't exist yet. It hasn't been written, but it's about to be. Or that theatre feels that the work that they're doing in that area is really important and they'd love people to come up and learn about the work that they're doing. So usually it's about developing people's practice or giving them an opportunity to experience something new in an industry. Typically, a traineeship is a little bit shorter than an apprenticeship. So this is the big news. This is what we're currently offering here. Dun, dun, dun. This is what we offer currently at the Festival Theatre. When I say offer, these roles aren't currently open, all of them, because some of them are filled with the apprentices that we have in position. But we do annually recruit for these roles. So we have the Cultural Learning and Participation Apprentice, and that's a person who works in the outreach department or the learning department that I talked to you about. And they are responsible for managing, coordinating and facilitating activities with community groups. So that could be young people or the elderly or people from disadvantaged groups or people from local community groups, and just sharing the work that we do and kind of, you know, celebrating the wonderfulness that is the arts. Our most popular and our longest running apprenticeship is our technical theatre apprenticeship. And we currently take on one apprentice in this area per year, but it's a 2-year programme. So very often there'll be 2 of those apprentices in the building at any one time. And that's the apprenticeship that is an entry-level apprenticeship into lighting, sound and stage. Sometimes you might be able to find a niche where you can specialise in stage management as part of that apprenticeship, but that's not really what the apprenticeship is designed to do. It's mainly lighting, sound and stage. Then we have another apprenticeship that is in a similar world, but it's on a much higher level. So we have a production manager apprenticeship here, which is essentially a manager level apprenticeship. It's for somebody who has finished their degree and their training in stage management or technical theatre. Maybe they've worked in the industry for a few years and they want to make a bit of a sideways move or maybe a little bit of a promotional move, and they move into production management. That's what we call a level 7 apprenticeship. It's the equivalent of a postgraduate degree level. So it's quite high level. It's quite a management position. And Chichester are really proud that we are the first theatre in the country, in fact, I think the world, to have had a successful production manager apprentice go through the programme, and we're currently working with 5 other apprentices at the moment doing the same programme, which is really exciting. And then we have 2 other trainee positions at the moment at the Festival Theatre. Again, they're an annual post. We have a youth and outreach trainee. So again, this person works alongside the cultural and learning apprentice in the youth theatre, and they do similar work working with the outreach. Our youth and outreach trainee works very closely with the youth theatre at the moment, which is really exciting for her. And we have a trainee producer. So that person who I talked about doing the hiring, firing, they're working alongside our producing team and pulling together all of the creative teams and all of the performers for all of the productions that we're doing this summer. And that's our current roles. I think that's it. If you're lucky, that'll be the end of it. No, damn, there's more. Just to say, we are planning more apprenticeships in the future. some that we want to be able to offer, some that we are just sort of throwing the ball in the air to see if it's something that we might want to have. So we're hoping to eventually have a costume apprenticeship. We don't at the moment because there isn't a formal training plan for that. There isn't an apprenticeship program that's been written for it yet. But as soon as it comes live, we're going to consider taking that on. The same with wigs, hair and makeup. We're definitely considering that. We're looking for admin apprentices potentially in marketing and finance. We're hoping that we're going to expand our apprenticeship provision into other areas. And we're maybe considering somebody doing facilities, estates and facilities as an apprenticeship too. So again, these are all subject to our funding ability and for the government approving all the standards. So they're not anything that we can promise yet, but I wanted you to be aware of the fact that we have many an offer in the footing. I definitely think that's it now.
I think it is. I think there's the eligible to apply.
And these are the questions we'll be asked later. So if you're interested in applying for an apprenticeship after you've heard about all the waffle we're going to give you today, just a couple of things to think about. One, you really generally need to be 18 or over. Most apprenticeships require you to work independently and autonomously. And in theatre, there's a lot of health and safety that we have to consider, and insurance and liability issues. So often we need you to be 18 or very close to being when you apply. You need to be able to legally work in the UK. Obviously, that's important because it's a role. It's not just about studying. You're actually doing a job. We are very interested in seeing people who are passionate about theatre and the live arts. Our apprenticeships are not for people who are just trying to decide whether they might want to do this or maybe go into banking, because it's really hard. Our roles are really dedicated. You apply yourself immediately from day one right into the throes of putting on shows and productions. So you need to be really serious about wanting to be in the live arts. Ideally, some previous experience is useful. So doing what Henry's doing at the moment, having come through our Tech Youth Theatre, maybe doing a level 3 qualification in Tech Theatre is a really useful way to get your grounding in backstage arts, and then you become a really prime candidate for being an apprenticeship with us. And there are some minimum qualifications that you need to pass. So each apprenticeship is slightly different, but generally you need to be able to say that you've passed your English and your maths at a grade 4 or above, although there are some caveats to that, which we can discuss if you're interested later on.
Sally, that is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much.
I can normally do that in about 2.5 hours, so 15 minutes isn't bad.
No, it's good. And I think what it shows is that there's such a rich program here at CFT, and that we're constantly building on that and working towards other ways of connecting with people, which is what we're going to talk about today. So thank you for giving us that overview. Sam, I wonder if I could come to you. And obviously we've talked a little bit about some of the roles in terms of apprenticeships, but what kind of advice can you give individuals who are wanting to pursue these backstage careers and potentially don't want to feel that apprenticeship opportunities are right for them? And what things do you think they need to, what skills do you think they need to have if they are wanting to pursue those careers?
Well, I think Sally touched on one of them, which is about being passionate about the art. So knowing that it's something that you want to do, I think is important, and you'll learn that by volunteering or finding opportunities to volunteer with amateur groups or get involved with maybe school productions if your school runs productions. If your school doesn't run productions, looking within your community, you'll often find that there are amateur groups or community groups who are making shows that you can engage with. They're always looking for people to help them with those productions. So those are really good opportunities, I think, to find out if this is something that you enjoy and something that you want to engage with. That was certainly my background. I started out my school stage. It was an extracurricular thing that I did for fun. And I didn't realise I could make a job of it at all until I was about 16 or 17, and then suddenly realised, well, hold on, there's a whole industry here. And there must be as many people backstage as are front of house. And in fact, there are. So even when we're doing our largest musicals, you'll find as many people or more people backstage running the show than appear on the stage in all those different disciplines that Sally spoke about. So I think passion is a really important one, and interest in theatre, including going to see it, one would hope.
Yeah,
people enjoy seeing the stuff that's happening as well. And I suppose the other thing is there's lots of crossover. So TV and film all carry similar skills to what we do on stage. They are different. They do work differently. One is before a live audience. Obviously, one is months and months and months of filming in front of a small camera. and turning it into something. So they carry slightly different work processes, but they're very transferable skills. So yeah, I think those are really important, and we see lots of our youth theatre and technical youth theatre attendees transferring that either into training at college to move forward, or sometimes coming and doing some volunteering for us, working maybe on our Christmas shows, doing some follow spotting, doing some dressing on the show, doing some volunteer stage management on the shows, and that sometimes has catapulted them into the industry. So we often find that some of those volunteer, particularly dressers, move into seasonal work with us, and that becomes their stepping stone. And then Sally also mentioned stage crewing. Stage crewing is a great entry-level role into the industry, and some people want to stay in crewing forever. Whilst we say it's an entry-level role, actually for some people that just suits them, and that's what they really enjoy, working on stage. But it is often the stepping stone, and a great way of getting their foot in the door and discovering what it is that inspires them. And in my case, as I say, I volunteered on the school stage and did that for fun, discovered that might be a career opportunity, was lucky enough to get into a drama school, and did a 3-year course. And some of those courses are really niche and really focused, and some of them are much broader. So the course I did was a stage management and technical theatre. Actually, it was a BTEC HND. It was a 2-year course at that time. Now it's a 3-year. But it gave me a really great sort of insight into lots of different areas, and then I could choose which way I wanted to go.
Fantastic. And Sam, it's really interesting you talking about those different pathways through. And I wonder if, Henry, you're like nodding like, yes, I can see it coming. I wonder if I can come to talk to you about some of that, because that's kind of your experience, and whether you wouldn't just mind opening up to everybody who's joining us online, and I can hear other people coming in as well. So welcome to those people who have just joined us, about your route through and what you found helpful about that, and what skills you've learned as you've gone as well.
Yeah, so just as Sam just touched on and Sally sort of touched on, I started in the youth theatre as technical youth theatre, and that was on my way in. And then I joined college, and through Chichester College and through those two things, I sort of pushed you have to volunteer. I was volunteering. That's the piece of advice I'd give someone they're starting in the youth theatre, or any sort of youth theatre, or trying to get into theatre, is you have to A, be passionate, like Sam said, and B, give up so much of your time and just push and push and push through. Because I did exactly, I volunteered on Christmas shows. We've done an event at the Canal Basin. We've done connections here, done lots of little events in this room that I've volunteered through. And it's just through that, it's through being passionate about what you want to do and volunteering through, and always pushing and pushing and asking more and pushing further. And then someone will see you. In my case, it was our head of wardrobe here, our head of costume. He then took me on as a dresser for the season. So I worked in wardrobe, and then from there I got the opportunity to work on a professional show. The first one I did was Crazy for You 2 summers ago. And then Rock Follies this summer I worked as wardrobe. And then from there I again kept pushing and kept asking questions, always ask questions. And I got in contact with the stage manager and the DSM, the deputy stage manager, on Rock Follies last summer, who had then helped me move forward. And then from that, I managed to get a job working professionally in stage management on Quiz for a week here. And then moving forward again, like I said, I've just got the job as the stage management dep on Oliver this summer here. So it's all about, you've got to be passionate about it, and push in and push questions, and always volunteer and give out your time. And that just brings your way into it, yeah.
Fantastic. That's a really rich answer. And I'm going to come to you. See what I've done here? I've done a little circle. I will loop back round the other way. Because I think what's interesting is how Chichester Festival Theatre works in potentially a bit of a different way. And we've touched on it quite a bit already in terms of seasonal stuff and thinking about the festival season. And I wonder if you could just unpick that a little bit and tell us what that looks like.
Yes, although feel free to chip in anybody. We work here, and some of you probably know we do a winter season and a summer season. So our summer season, we produce all the shows here, and we kind of call that a producing house. There's many up and down the country. Well, it's not as many as you think, actually, producing houses. So we produce our own shows, which means we decide what shows we're going to do. We look at the scripts, we hire the staff, we support the rehearsal process right from kind of together day one. We take all those people together and say, these are the people that we need. This is what we need to put the show on. We look at the designs. There's a big design process. A white card model comes out. We kind of go through all those stages until we reach rehearsal stage, and then we support the rehearsal process and then bring the show into Chichester. We do a technical rehearsal, a dress rehearsal, previews,
press night, yeah.
Right through to the final night. And I think what's really interesting about Chichester is that actually our shows sometimes, I've worked in other places where the shows we do all that process and the show will then run for 6 months, whereas actually here there's always something new. There's always rehearsals going on. We've got the 2 spaces. We've got the main house, and we've also got the Minerva, which we are in at the moment, and it's brilliant. It's really, really buzzing. There's lots of different opportunities. Each show has its own, obviously, design with different directors and designers and composers and puppetry sometimes, and actually each show you get here is different, and we have to support that. And especially in my role at the moment as the coordinator, there are things that you support through that as well, and we're giving different opportunities to different people to see different things as well. And then we also have receiving houses, which we kind of do in the winter here. That's kind of where we have shows that are touring. They come to us, which is really nice because it allows us then to prep for the summer head. But it's really great because it means our audiences can see things that come here, and also they can see things that we produce. And sometimes we produce things here and it goes off on tour or goes off to other venues, which is really exciting as well.
Fantastic,
so yeah,
thank you.
In a nutshell.
No, it's really clear, and it's really clear to sort of see the different models, and as you get to work in different places, understand the similarities between different theatres and the ways they work, and the differences as well, but always about how that team comes together and how many people are in that team to come to support what you potentially might come and see as just one evening, and the hundreds of people that have gone into making that beforehand. I wonder, Henry, if we come back to you and talk a little bit about technical youth theatre, and sort of the opportunities that CFT, and whether I bring Sally into this as well, around Chichester Festival Youth Theatre and all the things that we have experienced with that as well.
So in terms of opportunities that they offer, obviously it's different from the, I was going to say mainstream youth theatre, but
performing youth theatre.
Performing youth theatre, in the fact that it is a group that you go to every week, but it's all sort of like, it's a qualification effectively at the end of the day, and it's a 2-year qualification that you get out of it, and it trains you in. So as part of the youth theatre, I remember we used to go into the main house all the time. I remember coming in with Sam and we were playing around with lighting and looking at lighting when they're in their dark season, they're doing pack testing and stuff. You look at sound, you get the opportunity to volunteer on lots of events and stuff in here. So like I say, we've done connections, we help support. There was we do the sharings content here that we help support, and we had the youth theatre were running all the tech for the sharing units, so all of the stage management, all of the lighting, all of the sound. And then once a year, the Festival Theatre gives up the main stage to the youth theatre for the Christmas show, obviously. And the big thing that people don't understand about that is, yes, they give up the main stage to the youth theatre and they perform it, but the youth theatre also, they're the crew for the show. They run the show, right? So there's opportunities in radio mics, there's opportunities to work in stage management as a junior ASM, alongside professionals who will then teach you and train you through the process. There's opportunities to work in wardrobe, opportunities to work in hair and makeup. And those opportunities, obviously that's quite a major show. The way those ones work is you apply for the job as if it's a real job. So it's not just training for the job, it's
you apply through, you have to be part of the Tech Youth Theatre.
So you're part of the Tech Youth Theatre, and then you have to fill out an application and you're considered, and you might not get it first time. You might be given another job, and then next year you apply the next time. But the course, it gives you so many opportunities to try everything. Because like Sam said as well, it's great. In fact, it's not narrow and not specialised at that point. It covers everything. So you can do stage management one year and then go, okay, I want to try a bit of lighting this year. I want to try a bit of sound this year.
Design, that's why, don't you?
Yeah.
Design and costume design. And
yeah, so we look at stuff like that. And we did a whole unit on puppetry, which was quite cool. So we did a lot of puppet design. And we had someone, I think it was the guy who did puppets on Warhorse, wasn't it? Who came in and taught us all about puppets. And we had a design session on puppets. We do set design, we make model boxes. And we have a great designer called Ryan, who designs all the Christmas shows, who came in and did a session with us about making model boxes. And he also does a bit of costume design, so we talked about that. We did a whole session with our hair and makeup team here, where we looked at making like scratches and bruises and all the hair and makeup, and it was great fun. But yeah, so it's very broad. And like I say, at the end of the day, you can get it's a silver arts qualification as well.
Yeah.
So you can get a qualification out of it, and it sort of helps you. You can go in, not like I remember I went in and I didn't even know what the word stage management meant.
Yeah.
When I first started youth theory, I didn't know it was a thing, and now it's what I pursue for, and it's what I want in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's so many opportunities to sort of figure out what you want to do, and then once you've got to that point, really go for it and learn and learn and learn, and it brings you up to the same level that any qualification at a college will, if not further, I would say.
That's fantastic. And Sally, if people did want to get involved in technical youth theatre, how do they do that?
Well, it's fairly straightforward. You can apply via our website. So you go onto the website's all new now, but there's an area for taking part and joining the youth theatre, and you apply. There's an application page there. I think I might have put a link on it actually in the PowerPoint on where to go. So when we share that, you're very welcome to have a look at it. I just want to go back, if that's all right, Sophie,
Absolutely.
and just talk about something that Henry talked about, and it makes it sound like it's a really easy thing to do, like you just turn up on our doorstep and we'll take you in and we'll suddenly make you a stage manager. It's not that easy. It's actually really difficult to do, because most of the people who do work here are here doing their jobs, and they've applied and they've trained and they've got into that position. But we do have this wonderful process of mentoring and support with all of the teams that we work with when we do open the doors to volunteers or to Tech Youth Theatre students, or students who are in our local colleges, to come and get some work experience. The team are incredibly warm and welcoming, but it is, as Henry said, it really is your attitude and your engagement in those processes that are going to take you to the next stage. What Henry didn't point out was that he actually wanted to be part of the Technical Youth Theatre before that he was old enough. And he just sent me a lot of emails going, but I'll do anything, please. and I'll do anything, and I don't mind that I'm too young, and I'll just do whatever you say. And so I said to him, well, you're very welcome to come and join us on one of our shows. He'd actually signed up to be in the youth theatre the following year, so I knew he was serious. And he said, I'll do anything. And I said, well, yeah, but I know you want to do lighting, but actually the only thing I've got left is a role in the costume department doing dressing, and you're very likely to be the only boy. And he just said, that's fine, I don't care, I don't mind, I'll do whatever. And you did, and he turned up in his blacks, ready to go, and within half a day, everybody just thought you were wonderful because of the attitude that he had. He came with that passion that Sam talked about, with that desire to learn more, with your open mind to, well, okay, costume wasn't what I really wanted to do, but I'm in the room and I'm going to listen to other people, and in my breaks I might go listen to the lighting team or whatever. And it was that flexibility and that kind of openness to being able to say, I'm happy to volunteer doing anything. I'll sell ice creams, or I'll, come and listen to a post-show talk, or I'll be the person front and center at Sam's discussion when he does a theatre open day and asks 100 questions. Those are the things that get us aware of who you are. You don't have to sign up to the Tech Youth Theatre in order to end up in our crew, because you have to be sort of between the ages of 14 and 22 to do that. But also not everybody has the opportunity to do that. But what you can do is come and join in with everything that we do, be involved with the processes, join these webinars, send us messages. The apprenticeship page on our website has an email address that comes straight through to me. If you're interested, send me an email, and I'll keep you in mind when we do have opportunities that come up, so that we can help share those experiences with you. But it's really important that you bring that attitude of, I really want this and I'll do anything to learn whatever I can, because that's how we work here. Everybody comes together, everybody collaborates on what we do, everybody's happy to share their skills and experience wherever it's needed, and that's what we look for in new technicians.
Fantastic. I think what I'm going to do to finish, I'm going to ask a couple of questions that have already been sent in, but just so that I'm prepping you all before I drop this, is that I'm going to ask you what one word or one bit of advice you would give to everybody on here wanting to pursue these types of careers. So just start to have a think about that pithy word or that one sentence of advice. Now, we have had some questions sent in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the questions, say who they're from, and then open it up to the panel to respond. So our first question is from Georgie Lang. I've been applying for lots of assistant wigs, hair and makeup jobs in West End theatres, but they seem to want theatre experience first. but there does not seem to ever be any trainee positions advertised, which is interesting, isn't it? I've also contacted many of my local theatres, but they say that they either do not have the budget or that the actors do their own hair and makeup. Can you advise how I go about getting into the theatre? I'm 18 months out of HMU College with a number of feature films under my belt as a trainee.
Wow.
So lots of, yeah. Good.
Well, I suppose what I was going to say was that as Sally mentioned, there are some apprenticeship standards that are coming for theatre. They're being developed at the moment, wigs, hair and makeup. But it sounds to me like, sorry,
Georgie, yeah.
Georgie's already got some of that experience already. So it's about how you get the opportunity to transfer what you've learned into theatre. And I'd agree that that is difficult. What we've done this year at Chichester is we've created some short-term training opportunities as part of our seasonal team, because we recognise that there are people who do hit barrier. So they're not formal traineeships. They don't necessarily carry formal learning, if you like, but it's an opportunity to come and explore what it is to work in theatre. So that's something that we're personally doing, and those opportunities do come up around the country occasionally. But I do agree that there's a challenge there if you've followed a certain path into TV or film or work for screen. Certainly, trying to get into theatre can be hard. But I think we just have to keep trying. I think you just have to keep trying and keep putting it out.
When we were, completely agree with that as well. And I think don't be disheartened if you have been writing to theatres and you have been writing. One, I would say it just takes one response for that opportunity to come up. So don't be disheartened by it. And two, if you can, and you might be doing this already, but I know when I was trying to get some ASM debt work, instead of writing to theatres kind of as a, dear so-and-so, I would actually go down there, find out a name. So you could maybe find out the wigs person's name and say, actually, I've got this experience. I'd love to learn more. Could we meet? Would you mind meeting for a coffee? Would you mind, maybe taking a different approach that isn't particularly I want a job, but just going, I need to find out what I can do. And actually, maybe you could shadow them one day, or maybe there's one day where they do need an extra hand and you think, I don't mind doing a few things just to get to know this person. And then that person might be able to help you along the way. But it just takes finding that right moment. Yeah. So yeah, definitely don't.
I think that's brilliant advice. And actually, one of the things with wigs, particularly wigs and hair, often it goes hand in hand with makeup, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes theatres have separate departments if they're large enough. The West End theatres, and this is an absolute generalisation, but the West End theatres, whilst there is a lot of hair and makeup on those shows, they're long-running, long-standing shows, so they're likely to have crews that have been there forever, and they're just churning over the crew, as and when the time comes up. So it's rare that a role will come up that you could apply for, an entry-level position. What you want to be looking at is organisations who are producing their own work. So you want to be looking at theatres where they're large-scale producers, like us, like the Royal Opera House, like the National Theatre, but also other producing theatres where you would imagine that they're using lots of wigs. Leeds Playhouse in Leeds. I don't know where you are, Georgia. I don't know if you're local to us or if you are particularly close to London. But you want to be thinking specifically about those venues and then doing exactly what Angela said, getting in touch with the head of wigs. Now, sometimes the head of wigs is also the head of costume, so you can write to both of those people. Their names are usually in programmes, sometimes on the website. So go and see one of their shows. Go and see what they've done, buy a programme, see their name, send them an email the very next day. Usually the emails are something very similar to, like, if it says boxoffice@cft.org.uk, their email address is likely to be their name as well. So have a little look at that. And yeah, send those direct emails, and asking someone for a coffee is nowhere near the wrong thing to do. Henry touched on a really tricky subject just now, where he was talking about volunteering. And I think when you're 14 to maybe 18 and you're still living at home, volunteering is easy to do, or easy-ish, because you've got support at home, I would hope. And actually volunteering is easy. I think when you're slightly older and you've come out of a degree and you're trying to make your way in the world, volunteering is a really hard thing to do financially. However, if you are in the position where you can volunteer, where you can say, I'll just come and observe. Can I just come and stand in the wings for a week? And I just want to see what you do. It's getting your foot in the door. It's them seeing your name. You can take your portfolio on the second day and go, can I show you what I made last week? And actually doing those kinds of things opens those doors. It's a slow process. Henry's not wrong in saying that sometimes it can take months, maybe a year or so, but it's about trying to be in the right place at the right time. And don't be afraid of theatre people. We're just normal people. We're just, anybody who works in the theatre is the same as anybody you've ever met. Sometimes the doors are closed because of money, but if you can make it work outside, then that's the way to do it.
Fantastic advice there from everybody. Thank you very much. And Georgie, I hope that's answers that question for you. And I guess as well, just to reiterate, do email us as well, like hello@cft.org.uk. I'm going to put that out there with other questions, just to let everybody know that we are recording this so we can send it out afterwards, and we'll send it out with the recording and with it captioned and with the presentation as well. So the other question that we've got sent in, and we have had others as well, but I'm going to go to this one from Lucy. And again, Lucy Moore, we have touched on this already, but as someone who's been out of university and the business for roughly 6 years, would they still be able to do an apprenticeship? So we know that is a yes,
but it depends in what subject.
Okay.
So if you wanted to do an apprenticeship in lighting and sound, which is our entry-level position, we call it a level 3 apprenticeship. This is education speak. And if you've got your level 6 degree, that's fine. You can do both. However, if you've got your degree in lighting, you can't then do an apprenticeship in lighting because you've already got that qualification equivalent. If you had done theatre studies or drama, and then you wanted to move into technical backstage, you could absolutely do an apprenticeship. By the same token, if you wanted to move into production management, it's rare that you can do a degree in production management. There's only 2 or 3 universities that actually offer that, or drama schools that offer that. So most stage management degrees or technical theatre degrees translate very nicely into leaping into a production management role after a couple of years in industry. But yeah, so you absolutely can.
And I think, again, this has kind of already been touched upon, but what would they need skill-wise before being considered? So I suppose that depends on which apprenticeship they're going for and where at the point in their career they are. And we would look through those. And I guess when you're having that interview, you can talk about the other things that are open to you so that you don't just...
Of course. I think, asking what skills you need for an interview is always a really difficult thing to say, because as an apprentice or a trainee, the idea is that you're going into that organisation to learn.
Mm-hmm.
You're stepping into that business to gain those skills and to learn them. The training at the college isn't necessarily the equivalent of doing a degree or a college course. It's sort of backing up and supporting and asking you to demonstrate your competence. So having a baseline level of experience is really useful in an apprenticeship, particularly when you're looking at technical theatre. So I've been interviewing for technical theatre apprenticeships for nearly 10 years now, and I've interviewed in most of the regional theatres in the country. And what I've learned is that the technical managers and the technical directors in those venues are very interested in people who have done a little bit already. They've done a little bit at school. They know their way around a lighting desk. They can differentiate what the different areas of the stage are. They know what the different roles are a little bit. They've done a bit of programming, or they've run radio mics. They might have volunteered in their local youth theatre, because those technical managers want to be able to take you and put you to work. They don't want to have to put you in a learning environment or make you watch and shadow for 6 months before you can actually touch anything. So there's always the opportunity to build your skills a little bit, do a youth theatre programme, do a college course, and then start looking for apprenticeships, and you will become a really prime candidate then.
And just to clarify, because this is just bringing in sort of Lucy's last part of the question, is age a factor in apprenticeships?
No, there is no maximum age for an apprenticeship. There is a minimum age, which is usually 16 for most apprenticeships. But as I say, in theatre, it's rare that people under 18 get it. Not impossible, but rare.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So I'm going to come back to that question that I posed just before opening out to everybody who's joining us today. What one word, and I'm coming to you, Angela, first, because I said I'd come back round. What one word or one sentence, with one bit of advice, would you give to people who are wanting to engage in backstage careers or start out on that journey or continue that journey?
My word is absorb.
Great. Could you expand on absorb?
Because speak to it. No, I still find in theatre now I'm learning so much. It's an industry that's constantly changing. There's new ideas all the time. I'm sure that over the years there will continue to be many new ideas and new technology and things we can try, and new ways of thinking about theatre. So as you embark on your theatre journey, whatever stage you're at, and whether you're just questioning even coming into the industry, I would just really keep an open mind and everyone you speak to will have their own story and their own information and their own advice, and so I can just say absorb it all and go from there.
Fantastic. And you say about lots of different roles, and I don't know whether we're going to have time, but whether you could just talk a little bit about some of the sustainability role that you have here and part of the green team, and just a little bit about Green Book, just whilst we're talking about other roles, would be really interesting.
Absolutely. So here at CFT, we're really passionate about sustainability and taking that journey forward, how we continue to grow, and we have all these amazing shows that we do, and obviously we're using lots of materials and lots of people are driving here, and there's lots of things that we can look at to help our carbon footprint. So we're just starting to look at those. Well, we've done it for a while, as we know, but we're looking at those journeys and how we can make our shows in particular more sustainable. So we have the Theatre Green Book, and some of our shows this year we hope to be baseline standards, correct me if I'm wrong, but we'll be looking at basically where our materials are sourced from and also their journey beyond here. So trying to make it more of a kind of circle rather than we buy new and then we dispose. So we'll be looking at kind of joining that circle up. But it's really exciting, and we're really lucky here. We've got really a lot of sources around us that we can use. We've got our workshop, all these roles that we were talking about. We've got our kind of workshops here and companies that we work with locally. So hopefully we can really make a stamp on some of those shows.
Thank you so much, Angela. Henry, your one word or your one sentence?
My one sentence. Ask questions and be passionate. That's what I would say.
I think,
like Angela said, you can never, even if you've done all this training and you've got all this stuff, and you come out of college or uni or whatever, and you think you've got all the answers, like you'll go in, and like it's not even just coming out of training. Like there'll be people in the industry for years that will go in and they'll look at the way someone else does something, and they'll go, "Wow, that's amazing! I'm going to do that." So, and always ask questions. Ask an, well, what are you doing there? That looks fun. How do you do that? And then you just grow and grow and grow more as a person, and your skill set grows, and then people want to employ you more because they see that you take other people's advice on board. And,
absolutely, I think that's really great, asking questions and keep going and absorbing, and absolutely. Sam,
I fear mine are very similar. Mine is flexibility. So particularly at the front end of your career, but actually just generally, it is like a team sport, and it takes everyone working together, and that might mean that sometimes even if you're the lighting technician, you need to pick up the broom or pick up the hammer or whatever it might be. So not being afraid to be flexible in what you're doing, because you're going towards the same thing, but also as you're learning and as you're starting your journey, being flexible in the things you do and taking the opportunities that come your way. A bit like Henry going, well, that's fine, I'll go and be a dresser then. I think I actually want to be a lighting technician, but I don't mind doing that because I'm getting to be in the theatre and I get to be around people and I get to see what the processes are, and I get to learn a different viewpoint on what is going into making a show. So I think flexibility is a really important thing, both starting your career, but actually just generally in the industry, being flexible in turning your hand to whatever you can to help get the show on is really key.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And Sally, word or one sentence?
Well, I mean, I'm not known for just one sentence usually. I think I have to echo what everybody else has said. The advice that I give to people all the time who ask me, how do people get on the best in their training or when they move into the industry? And I would say the people who are open to whatever comes to them, and I think that's flexibility, I guess, is part of that, but being resilient and being open. And I would say be ready to work. Don't come up anywhere to an interview or to work or to an apprenticeship opportunity or to the Tech Youth Theatre or to anything that you do and not be ready to get stuck in. Just be ready to do it, because those are the people who we as the team who are looking for employees or looking for apprentices will go, you're the one. And that's what sets you apart. So be ready to do it. Turn up and also make sure that it's you who wants to do it. Don't be sent to do these things if you don't want to do it, because it's a strange world, the theatre. It's odd hours and it's long, hard work in dark places for many months. But it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant if you want to be here.
It's an amazing community.
But make sure it's your passion. Make sure it's your dream.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Thank you so much, Sally. And I would just like to thank all of you for answering so richly all of the questions and the provocations that we've put to you today. I want to thank everybody who's been watching and listening, and do send any questions that you have, and we can always send them out to various different people to hello@cft.org.uk. It would also be remiss of me not to say about our Youth Advisory Board, which is a group of 16 to 25-year-olds, and they are a group that come together 6 times a year, and who have direct influence, talk to the senior management team, direct influence to our board of trustees, and talk about a lot of the issues that we've spoken about today, about how to get into the industry, about sustainability, about pathways through, and we're currently looking for people to be part of that Youth Advisory Board. So again, if that's something that interests you, please go to the website and you can see how to apply to our board this year. Thank you.
Prologue if you want to see shows.
And absolutely become a Prologue ambassador as well, and you can be part of our ticket scheme, and then you get £5 tickets to see all of our shows here. So thank you everybody, and thank you everybody who's watching. I hope it's been exciting and amazing and brilliant, and we're going to sign out. Thank you all. Bye bye.